Make.com recently released their new AI agent feature, and I've been experimenting with different ways to build and test real use cases. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to set up an AI agent that reads your emails and automatically takes action. We're going to build two useful automations, one that replies to common support questions, and another that will create tasks in Notion with due dates. This is a full step-by-step walkthrough. I will cover every step from scratch. So let's get started. I'm going to walk you through the architecture first. If you're not familiar with AI agents in general, you can really build them with a bunch of different tools. So Make.com and 8in, I think Zapier released them. A bunch of the automation platforms are now adding AI agents as a feature to their stack. So you can kind of choose where you want to build it at this point, but the general idea is the same across the board. There's some type of parent AI agent that you structure and build, and this parent decides what should actually be run within subagents. So for example, in our case, we're going to have the parent AI agent read email and ultimately decide what it should do with those emails. We're only going to give it two tasks. One of those tasks is going to be go create a to do item within Notion, and the other task is going to be respond with an answer to some type of common questions. So the AI agent ends up receiving the email, it decides what to do with it, and then it breaks out into separate subagents. And these subagents, you could have 100 of them at this point if you wanted to. They're just the tasks that happen within the agent. So you ultimately tell the AI agent, the parent agent, hey, here are the tasks that you can do, and you decide what to do when the information comes in. So let's actually build this out. So we'll start with the parent agent, and then we'll build the two subagents. Now I have our fresh scenario here, and the first step is really going to be to just grab our AI agent. So Make has our new AI agent feature somewhere here, and just run an AI agent. And you have to set up a new agent. These are really basic. Most of this comes down to prompting and a lot of just writing prompts, like good prompts and telling it what to do. I already created one for this one specifically. I'm just going to use it. But the configuration looks something like this, and you really just give it a prompt. So when you create a new one, I'll just show you this page and you create a prompt. That's all I need to do. So it just says you're an intelligent executive assistant who manages incoming emails for your user. Your primary goal is to understand the intent behind each email and take the appropriate task. And that's pretty much it. So you can have a bunch of different AI agents if you want to that do different tasks, but this one's going to focus on emails. And then we're going to come and add tools, and these are going to be our sub agents. I haven't created one yet, so I can't add it yet, but we'll come back to it here in a minute. And the thread ID is really just a location to track a similar conversation between you and your AI agent. In this case, our email will there is an email thread option. We're not actually replying back to the email, but the idea is you could have some type of conversation and it would keep track of the messages within that conversation, which would be super cool. And then we can add additional instructions, which we'll get to in a minute. And then we'll add messages. And these are both going to be the core of the prompt. So let's go ahead and start with the trigger of our Gmail. We're going to watch emails. We're going to flip this over and we're going to connect these. And the idea is we're going to just have it watch every email that comes in. And I have a few tricks in here that you should pay attention to because I ran into these issues and I don't want you to run into these issues. So we grab our folder, which we're just going to use all mail. Filter type, leave it as simple. You can do more Gmail filters if you want to. Criteria, we're going to do all emails and then mark emails as read. Sure. And then the important thing here is we want to go to an advanced settings and add some filters. Otherwise, when you're testing this and you're trying to reply to emails, you might reply to any email that comes in. So if you're using an email that is active, you don't actually want it to start replying to people uh, based on when you have this running. So let's throw in, specific subject. We'll just say AI agent test. You can see I already had it set. And then we'll just make sure every subject, when we send a test email, includes AI agent test, and it will only run it against those, which would be helpful. You can also just throw an email. So if you have like your sender email, a second email that you want to be able to send it from, you could throw that in there too. So it only is processing the ones from that email. And that's it. So we'll say from now on, click save. So now that we have the messages coming in, now we can actually think about the prompts we want to write here. So we'll get started with the prompts, then we'll come back to actually creating the subagents. So let's put the additional system instructions and the messages. I've been using this additional system instructions as the actual instructions for the prompt or for the subagent. And then the message includes the actual like specifics of what we're getting from the email. So I already have some prompts written for this because you don't want to watch me type all of this. And all these prompts will be available in the blueprint if you want them. You can go download it, it's free. So the prompt is pretty much, you're an intelligent executive assistant who manages incoming emails for your user. And then I say what they get from the email. So it's pretty much like raw data, like sender email, name, subject, and email text. And then explain your goals. So I've already put the tasks in here. And this is really telling the AI agent, here's what you have access to. You can either reply to questions or you can create a new task. And those are the things that you can do. And I've already created a video that shows you how to build an AI agent with Make and within Slack. So you actually have a conversation with the AI agent back and forth in Slack, sort of. With the email case, we're not actually going to have a response back from the email. We will put the output of what it does within a location, but the idea is this is really going to receive the email. The AI agent will try to figure out what it should do with it, do the task, and then be done with it. So we're just saying, hey, reply to questions or create a new task. I have some rules in here that you can read through. I give it the actual date for today because I ask it to do some stuff with the due date for the day. So that's actually important because it won't know what day it is. And then I tell the output, just explain a basic output. And then for our message, we're really just going to send the actual data from the email, and then the AI agent will do something with it. So again, I'm just going to paste it in here just so you don't have to watch me type and because I already have it, but I'm pretty much just adding all the information from the email and putting it in the message. And then this all gets sent to the subagent. And finally, we don't want the scenario to stop. We want to sit there and wait for the subagent to finish. So we'll set this to no and have a wait. And that's the setup for the AI agent. That's pretty much it. Now we just need to create some subagents and link them up. So let's go ahead and create a new subagent. And I started a blank scenario. So this will be a new scenario that the parent scenario will know about. And this will ultimately be somewhat of a sub scenario, but it's just a normal scenario. You just go create a new scenario and then we'll link it up to the parent scenario. So we want to bring an input that we will bring in from the parent scenario. And we'll call this message and just assume it's text. We'll say it's required. Save. I'll actually do the output too. Output. I've been naming these just the same, so I'll just do message in and like response back. The AI agent controls what will come in as the message, and the response is pretty much the response. Like you can put whatever you want into it. So I've just been putting some type of like JSON object. Text required. Save. So those inputs and outputs are set. And then we just need to do something with the data that's going to come in. This one will be a simple response to questions. And I'm not going to go in super fine grained detail with all the intricacies and edge cases for this. I hope this gives you an idea of how you could extend it. But I'm really just going to take the text, see if there's a question in it, and have a list of common questions and then reply with an answer to that question. Ideally, you could connect this to some massive database that has all of your questions, your knowledge base, and it could potentially create an answer and reply to that person. But I mainly want to give you an idea of what's possible and let you use your imagination on what you could create. So we'll add our OpenAI connection. Again, all of these connections are super straightforward when you need to connect with them. I'm not going to go through all the steps. You usually can just follow the online help. This one's a little more intricate because you have to grab your API key, but there's so many, the instructions are great. So you can just follow them and get set up. It's pretty straightforward. So do model, O3 mini, and then we'll give it some messages. So again, I have some prompts already created, so you don't have to watch me type. Our system prompt really just sets a stage for, hey, you're going to get some emails or you're going to get an email. Please find a question, answer the question if possible. And then our main prompt runs through and describes in detail, gives some responsibilities on what you should be doing, some guidelines on how to respond. You can go through this if you download the blueprint, but it is pretty thorough, but also you could customize it completely. And then we're going to give it the input prompt. And I'll just show you where you get this. This is going to show up in your scenario inputs. And it's going to be message. You see that? Yeah, there we go. That's over here. And that came from our inputs, which our inputs were when they were down here. And then we're saying return some JSON, a JSON object. So it's going to identify the sender, the subject, the email text, the reply, to give it a confidence score. And then we give it some examples, example output. And here's the interesting piece that I added. I actually gave it the questions that are common and how to reply to them. This again is just a sample, but it'd be cool if you connected this with 100 knowledge-based questions. So if you have people asking lots of questions, it could automatically try and guess what they're asking, especially if they're basic ones. And then we just need to actually structure this as JSON. So if we go to the advanced settings, then we're going to go switch text to JSON object and then do parse JSON. That's just going to give us a JSON object instead of just plain text. And we can actually use those properties that come out of the prompts. All right, let's actually run this quickly just to see what we're getting. And I'm going to show you a trick that unfortunately I didn't realize until I had done a ton of tests previously, that if you switch this to on-demand, which it has to be on demand anyway. All the subagents must be on demand. You switch to on demand, which we need to anyway. And if you click run once, it will let you put in a message, which is the input from the scenario or to the scenario. So you can kind of put in whatever you think is going to come from the parent. And I have a few examples that I've used in the past, looks like. All right, so this is pretty much going to be what comes from the AI parent is going to be email, subject, and body. And probably for the person's first name too. So name, good old John Doe. So if example, email, the name, the subject, quick question, and then message, do you connect to Salesforce? So ideally, our prompt will actually respond with some type of answer to this. And we have our response, and we mainly want to get our structured text here. So we have sender email, subject, email text, reply text. Now we have the properties and from our prompt, and now we can add our Gmail to reply to the message. So this is really the scariest part of the whole thing because you just want to be careful that you're not emailing everyone in your inbox as they send you a message. So again, make sure you have that filter from before. And then we just link this up. So I have email address and subject and context. So this is going to be our content. This is going to be the reply. And that's pretty much it. Nothing in the advanced that we need, and we'll save it. And the final step is going to be that we add our response back to the parent, which is our return scenario. And this pretty much says, hey, it's completed. It'll sit here and wait until it receives some type of output from this. And you can really put anything in here. This response showed up because I put the outputs here. So just a reminder, you have to have the output. If you don't have it, it reminds you and says, hey, you need to output, and you can create one. So we'll just return, what do we return? This whole object. I think it'll return this object just so we can have a response of what it will be and save that. Clean up a little bit, save. And we have to have it on. So this actually has to be on for us to use the parent to connect. And let's run our test again just to see if this works. I'll do like an example email. So it actually sends an email. All right, let's give that a shot. And it fired off an email. Hopefully it didn't email my entire inbox. And I can jump over to my email that I opened and you can see that it came through. And we have John, which was the name I gave it. I sent it to this Brandon plus test. And you'd want to format this, make sure that it was cleaned up. You'd want to give more instructions on how to respond, what type of messaging to respond. But in general, it worked. This looks pretty sweet. And if we switch this like HTML, it could have line breaks and it would look great. That's our first subagent. So let's go ahead and create our other subagent and then we'll link them up and we'll test the whole thing. And I will create a new scenario. The idea of this one is if the agent identifies that there's some type of task that should be created, it automatically goes ahead and creates a task. I'm going to connect this to Notion. If you're not familiar with Notion, it's really like a project management tool, CRM, super easy to connect with. So I feel like that's a good place to start. You could also use Airtable, Google Sheets. You could use anything, but this will give you a good idea of how to actually go about connecting all of the pieces. And again, we're going to start with our OpenAI chat completion. Choose our model. This one says first that you're a helpful assistant. Your job is to help create tasks from emails. And then the details are pretty much hey, you're going to analyze context of some email. You're going to understand the intent. You're going to figure out if there's a due date. Here's the actual day of today. So you can put a due date. So if someone says in the email like, "Hey, I need this due by the end of the week," you should be able to actually generate a due date based on that. And then guidelines, some basic guidelines. Don't use Markdown. Don't use sign offs, those types of things. And we'll send the message, which I haven't created the input yet. So I'll do that here in a second. And then we have the output, which is our example. So it's kind of like email subject, text, summary, task type, due date. We'll see how that links up to Notion. And we give it an example of what's going to come in from our AI parent, and then the output of what it would expect. Let's save this and then create our scenario or inputs because we can't forget those. So this is going to be message. Again, you can call this whatever you want. It just needs something. I like to use message as the input and response as the output. Response required, yes. And now that we have those, we can come back and link this up. Now let's put our message. That actually is going to grab it just because we have the same name, but we'll go ahead and relink it just to make sure. And then the final piece is I forgot to set it to JSON. So we're going to do advanced, switch text to JSON object, parse JSON, and this will allow us to extract the properties that it's going to generate. And then we will link to Notion. And this one's pretty straightforward. It's going to be create database item, and then we'll grab the database and create a new task pretty much. Again, you can use about any tool you want to put these tasks somewhere. I love Notion. I already have it connected, so we'll use it. So we have our example task tracker. The cool thing is when you link the database, it will automatically pull in the fields, the properties from that database. So here's what it looks like in Make, and then here's the actual example task tracker I created. So you can see it has like task name, status, assignee, due date. And I just use one of the built-in task Notion templates, so it's super fast to set up. Let's jump back over to our sub agent and link things up. And I see I actually haven't run the chat prompt yet. So let's run that first because we don't have the properties yet. So we'll unlink this. And then switch this to on demand. Now don't forget we need to use on demand for all of these. Save it. And then this allows us to input our message. Again, this came from the input option that we created. So the message I put in here is pretty much email, example email, subject, new designs, and text, which would be from the email, would be from someone, some coworker or something. Please update the design for the client by the end of the week. So that will be our email that we get. Most likely there'd be a much longer email that would be of more interest, but this should get us a good idea and allow us to set up the properties that are going to come out of this prompt. And we can see what it comes up with, which was email text. It shows email text and then task summary, update client design as requested. And it has the end of the day, end of the week, which is fantastic. And now our properties show up. So we can connect the task name, which is going to be our task summary from the last step, throw it in there. And then we can set all this other stuff. Oh, actually, due date. What's the due date? Due date. And I think that's it. So again, you can set all the stuff. You know, it all gets pulled from Notion if you need it. I'm gonna leave it alone. Save it. And then we need our output to let the parent know that it's finished. So we'll link these up. And our response can just be our result from OpenAI. I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, we'll try that. Save it, and we'll go and turn this one on, and we'll assume that's correct. And the final step before we can actually test this is we have to tell the parent agent about the subagents. So let's jump into the parent agent. And remember this additional tools section that we had before that I said we'd come back to? Now we actually have to link it up. So we're going to go and choose our subagents. You have the first one, which is respond to emails. And then you have to give it a description. And this is the description that the parent agent actually uses to decide if it should process that subagent, like use that subagent or not. So I've created a prompt. I'll throw it in there. And I found these to be, you can keep these pretty simple. Like you're really just giving it, pointing in the right direction. So reply to customer email support questions, read customer support emails and generate clear professional replies. Easy enough. We connect it and then we'll connect our task one as well. And same thing, I'll paste the prompt in here. And I made this one even simpler and it's been working fine. Create a task that is included in an email. Create a task. You can play with it. Now the AI agent knows about the subagents and it can make a decision based on the information we've given it within the prompt down here. So here's a task it can perform. And then it also will look at the descriptions within the tools that it has to make a decision if it should use that or not. And then finally, we can throw the thread ID in here just to have it in there. Again, we're not having a conversation with this AI agent like I've created in past videos, but this is something we can throw in there. Might be useful at some point in the future. Save this. And now we should be able to test this thing. Now I'll come over and create a new message from one of my other inboxes. Quick question. We need our AI agent test. Make sure we only send it to those and do, hey there, do you have an iPhone app? If I can type, there we go. Send it to our email and send. And see if we caught it. We got our email going through. It recognized it. It's now deciding what to do with it. So the AI agent parent is going to figure out what to do with it. Ideally, go to the sub agent and send back an email. And look at that. I don't know if you saw it, but we got an email over here. Let's click on it. We got a response back. Hi, Brand. Yes, we do have an iPhone app available in the App Store. So you'd want to format this. You'd want it to have some HTML, so there's some line breaks, give it some links. Ideally, there's more to it than just the simple response, but hopefully this gave you the idea of the power of what this could do. Now let's test our task. So we want to send some type of task email. We'll do quick task, AI agent test. Remember, we need that for our testing. And then, hey there, please create a new design for our client. Have it by the end of the week. Let's send that and see if we can grab it on the other end. And it did something. Let's see if it did the correct thing. So it says response, the task create design has been created. Let's go over to our sub agent first. Look at our history real quickly, and we have a successful run. Let's see what the info was that came in. So we got our message coming in, which included, so this is the long prompt. And remember, we put the raw email data in here. So here's the raw email data. It extracted, it ran the prompt, and then the output was our result, which included the task summary, create a new design for a client. And then Notion ran, and I'm assuming created it. We're not going to dig through those properties. We'll just go look at the Notion. And here we go, create new design for a client. And there's the email that we sent it from. And it did it. So now we have our task that could get created. We have our response about some of the questions that might come through email, could get responded to quickly. And our AI agent is up and running, which is pretty sweet. And the final step is if you wanted to, you could add like a Slack message or something, somewhere for this to go. Let's just throw it into create a message. So I'll just grab, actually, let's do a direct message to myself. And I've already set up a bot, so I'm not going to run through the whole bot setup. You can technically just connect with Slack and authenticate your own user, and it'll send the message. So you could have a message like from yourself, which is no big deal. But the idea is that you would want to have this connected to something just to send you a message saying, like, hey, I did something, something happened. So there aren't like these emails being sent that you're unaware of, which wouldn't be good. So we'll just send this to myself. And the text will be the response from our AI agent. So you can see the last one said like the email from Brandon was, something. And that'll be it. So we'll just click save. And next time we run this, it will send a message to Slack letting me know that something happened. Hopefully this gave you an idea of what you can build with AI agents. I'm going to keep testing and experimenting, so I'll keep posting videos on what I'm building. And if you found value in this, please like, subscribe, and check out my next video.